Hi, this is Bob Sorrentino from ItalianGenealogy.blog with another exciting episode. Today I'm talking to my long lost cousin, Linda Sarandrea. Good afternoon, Linda. Thanks for joining.
Hi.
How's everything going over there in Texas?
It's not bad. Not bad. Pretty nice weather these days.
That's good. We're getting a little bit of rain today. My first question is, when did you start your research?
It's almost starting with the end and then coming back. Meeting you was one of the most exciting things that happened to me in genealogy. And it really goes back to when I started getting interested in it. Our families being related from so far back, and in such an incredible way was really something. But when I was young, being the oldest grandchild born in the United States, my grandmother would tell me stories about Italy, and she'd tell me stories about her mother's family because she had lost her mother when she was 18 months old, going back from the United States to Italy to show her off. She was actually born here in the U.S. and then they were returning to Italy, and she lost her mother. So she would always tell me stories about her mother's family, and from when I was a really young girl. And that's when she would tell me she was a countess in Naples. And nobody in my family believed me. They all told me I made up that story. And I've chased that until you and I finally met a few years ago, and with the DNA test, put the final nail in it. It was 100% true. So that was when it started and how it started.
Yeah, and the funny part about that story is that Paul told me that my grandmother used to say that her cousin was the princess, and they thought she was just some crazy old lady, and never believed it. But I always had the card from Nicola Piramalo, so there you go. So why did you start? What got you interested? Was it because you heard the stories?
Well, it was the stories, and because I was the oldest, and my cousin Charles, who is 9 months younger than I, we were raised like brother and sister. And we were raised inside my grandmother's house in the ancestral home, right? Jean lived there. I went there and I spent all my days there before school. And after I went to school, then I was always there after school and on weekends. And then we always went to grandma's on Sundays, never failed, It was usually pick me up and, have cake with grandma and grandpa. But my aunt lived upstairs with my cousin. So we spent so much time with her and with my grandfather, who was Sicilian, had a different, looked different, acted different. My grandmother just looked like she didn't belong in the family. And well, yeah, there was a reason why. She had a certain kind of refinement. I listen. I love my Sicilian family. It was the first family tree I really did. But I'm just saying the refinement that my grandmother had that was just sort of inbred in her. Well, you could see it in the pictures. You could see by the way she acted, the way she sat, the way she crossed her legs. That you could see that she could be a princess. You could see that her grandmother would have been a countess. And so I started by asking her names and writing all that down. And I didn't have the way of doing what we can do today. So it was me writing Maria and Tommaso, and then all of the kids and what happened, who happened. And anything I could get from her, I would just write these stories down in hopes that one of these days I'd be able to put them together. And it, I, then the pivotal event was when my father passed away in 2010. Um, he was the last to die in this ancestral home, and I was given the pleasure of having to empty it out. And in doing so, I found so many of these old pictures, documents, things from Italy, letters from Italy, official documents from Italy, World War One papers, and I mean all kinds of stuff. And I felt a great sense of responsibility. And I looked at these pictures. I didn't know who any of these people were, and I thought, this is not right. I need to find out who these people are. And I started then to send out the pictures. I went to see every old person alive in the country with this box, with a suitcase of photographs. You know who this is? And on the back, we write it down. And I went through all of those things until now I have a very small stack left. But from there, then all of a sudden, it was easy when I started to see names, I could relate pictures. And the story became real.
But that's what's funny about it. First, about what you mentioned about your grandmother, because I always felt that way about my father's mom, who was so much different than my mother's mom. My mother's, they come from poor farmers, and she was a very jovial, loved to have the kids around. And I know my grandmother loved the kids and everything, but her demeanor, as you say, was completely different. She was a very, very stately type of woman. And I never understood as a kid because I didn't know and I couldn't make that connection. But that's the way she was brought up. She was brought up to be like that. So very interesting. And just one other thing I want to say quick for people who are listening. Um, my grandmother's and Linda's, Maria is your great great grandmother or great grandmother? Maria Piramala. Great, yeah. S- Uh, and so um, she was my grandmother's aunt, which is why I think my grandmother and my grandfather wound up coming here in the first place. Um, and Linda and I never met, although we probably passed each other on the street in Flushing plenty of time.
Exactly. Um, that that's like a story that it's just one that you just love. That has to be written down and told. It's just amazing. And you're right. You could look at the pictures, and I could look at this big suitcase, and I could parse people out.
And the other amazing thing for me, and again for those who are listening, when Linda and I did meet just about a year ago, um, she mentioned her cousin Gene. His mom worked for my grandfather. Linda brought me beads from my grandfather's shop and pictures that I had never seen before of my father and my aunts and uncles and my grandmother, because your grandmother saved everything, right?
Yes, and yeah, and I saved everything too. My Aunt Jo, my grandma's daughter that did the sewing for your grandfather, made for the communion headpieces that gave me the box of beads in 1968. I've been carrying those beads around since 1968.
So, other than finding me, which I know was an amazing discovery, what was your next most amazing discovery?
Well, I started with the Sicilian tree because I knew more about the Sicilian family, right? We were raised more around the Sicilians. And my aunt, one of my aunts and one of my uncles, and man, you know how we call people aunt and uncles anyway. They were really my cousins, but they were very old. Uh, they had been very interested, and they'd done a lot of work, and they had some tree work because they actually went to Cerro de Falco, where our family was from, and went to the church and did the work. So I started with their stuff on paper, and then, as soon as I'm doing this, National Geographic comes out with their DNA test to build the the world genome. And so I get all the old people to give me their DNA. So I got all of their DNA, and that is still a godsend. I said that was the first DNA we did was in 2005, and so that was showing me right away you could see our migration paths, but it didn't get specific. It gave you a good idea where you came from, and when you looked at it, it made a lot of sense. Especially when you looked at the color of skin difference and so on and so forth, and the kind of food people ate and so forth. It made sense, but it was at a very high level, that whole Geno project. But we still use that. I still have that. And do you want to know what I found out from that? I don't know if I've ever told you this, Bob, and this is our family. We were talking about our family, that our grandmother's families were different. Well, guess who we're related to?
Who?
Utsi the Iceman, the oldest man on the planet. So you see, we're related to that. Right there could tell you. Look at this. We're related to the oldest guy on the planet. It was another thing when people said to me, "She's crazy," and then when I did the other end, DNA, it's still true. It's fascinating. But anyway, went through. But I had to hire a genealogist because I didn't know how to do it, and I didn't know how to get all this stuff online 10 years ago. So she did, and anyway, but she helped me build the family tree, and I found out the most. Like I found out that they came on April 20th, 1920. Not even a month from now. Right now, they were planning their trip to come to the United States for the first time. Not, my grandfather was 19, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite pictures, the picture of your grandfather in that suit. I love that photo.
Right? I mean, they came and they were going to show we were American now, you know? They were going to look at, I mean, and his mother is one of my favorite people. And in my Sicilian family, my grandfather's mother, she had one son. She lost her husband when my grandfather was 4 years old. No, what was it? 4 months old. When he was 4 months old, her husband died. And right after that, 4 years later, his sister died, leaving two orphans. She took them in too. Do you know she sent both those men off to the United States to make lives for themselves and worked sewing dresses until you could see it in her hands.
Wow.
You look at the personal sacrifice that she made. And she did. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Maria telling them that they needed to leave.
Right. And now, well, I mean, we wouldn't be here if they stayed in Italy, I guess. But now that I've found so many, Piromalo and Caracciolo cousins in Italy that I never knew existed. I didn't know there were any of these people. And they've been so nice. And I am so bummed. We were supposed to be there in 3 weeks. And we were going to have a big lunch with 20 cousins and all of that. But I'm hoping it's going to be in October now, when hopefully all of this dies down.
You know what? Let's think of it this. I thought about that several times, and maybe think of it this way: if you can go in October, that would sure as hell help those Italian people a hell of a lot.
Oh yeah, well we're still going.
Yeah. No, I don't. I have my ticket too. I got another ticket. I got another ticket for Italy. It's just waiting. But anyway, that's terrible. I hope everybody's okay.
Me too. So far, so good. The South didn't get hit as hard, and I'm in contact with them. And I have a friend who got her Italian citizenship. We were in grammar school together, and she got Italian citizenship last year. Moved to Salerno, and she's just stuck looking out the window now. So, do you still have any roadblocks or something that you're still trying to find?
This is my experience. I don't know why, but well, yes, I do. I shouldn't say I don't know why. Women like to hide secrets. They're not the first ones to tell you anything. And they sometimes can be a pain in the you know what when you're trying to get data. Bob, you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I got all their pictures on the wall, and I used to have them going up the stairs. And when I get really mad at Maria, I'd have to talk to her about needing some data, and usually I get it. But you know, to this day, I have not found her birth or death record.
We'll be right back.
Experience Italy like never before, traveling with a scheduled group or create your own bespoke tour with friends with philitaly.co. Pack your bags and follow Phil. That's www.philitaly.co. Yeah, I know. I still had I can't find my grandmother either. And my guess is that they weren't born in Naples. They were
Right?
born maybe in Circola because I know that's where my grandmother lived and my uncles were born there. And I don't think Circola is online yet. And when I hired the genealogist over there, he told me Circola just doesn't want to let people in. He says, I can't tell you how hard it is to get information from them, if you even can.
Yeah.
So that's my suspicion that it's they weren't in Naples proper or one of those areas.
It has to be that, right? And then you would, so you'd think that I could find her death record in New Jersey. No way. I am going to turn it over to the genealogist. I'm going to turn over getting a damn death record out of New Jersey to her and say, you go find it. I can't take this anymore. I, I know where she's married. I know everything about her. And I just can't find her death record because on there it will tell me some other stuff that I want to know. And I mean, it's just part of the whole genealogy thing is to have to.
Well, and I have the same problem. I can't find my father. My father was born in New Jersey, and between 1947 and 1960 something, I don't know the exact year, you can't find any death records for New York City. I don't know if they were in a fire. I don't know what happened, but my grandfather, who died in 51, he's not there. And my grandmother, she died in 62 or 63, she's not there. And some of my mom's family is not there. So I can't even find out what happened and why those records weren't there. Either they got lost, they got wet, there was a fire, or they just got misplaced. Who knows? So that's my roadblock there.
Well,
And
that may be why I'm not getting anything when I write New Jersey because I've tried them a million ways to try to get this woman's right. I've tried every name that I could think of in spelling.
yeah, and to your point, in Italy now, I found two of my grandmother's brothers,
Oh,
but not her.
yeah.
And one of her brothers was he got killed towards the end of World War One, but not in battle. There was a battleship that he was on that exploded in the harbor in Italy, and he got killed. And another and he's a Piramalo, and one of the Caraccialos got killed in World War One also. So I found some things like that, but some of these records, and then also the names, as you know from searching, the names are a mess when you look on the Antonati. I mean, there's misspellings all over the place.
Oh, forget. Well, that's a real problem with the pedixes. So Barry is that Maria Bergamo, the daughter, Maria Piramalo. I still cannot find her death record. I mean, I have got her down to a 6 month period, less than 6 months, and I know, and I know where she got married because I mean, I found that because of I found out where she was born, and on the Italian records of when you were born, they have all this cross. I don't know how they did this, but they kept up with this cross reference, and they write in the column, that she married Giuseppe Sigiano on this, this time, in this year, 1910 or something, and then Escalati. So we go over there, we go to see them, and the woman's there because I was having her go a few years ahead to schmooze everybody up, but so it worked in some cases. But Escalati is very hard to communicate. But anyway, they helped us, and we wrote it down, and we sent the follow-up material in letters and so forth. They write us back. The only letters missing in Scavati for marriage are the months that we're looking for. So that's it. Now we're back to where we can't find her. So I get a little frustrated about that because we want to know how she died. She died as soon as she left the United States. I mean, we think she did. She died the way the story is told. And I usually try to stick with that because of what Alex Haley said in Roots, about stories. So anyway, those there bug me, and where the Pettix name is from. But I think I'm getting close on the Pettix name. I think I'm getting, yes, I do. I think that yes, I do. I think that we might have come over with the Albanians.
Somebody told me, I don't know who. Somebody told me they thought it may have been Greek, but kind of the same area, I guess, more or
Yeah,
less.
it's both. It's Greek.
Yeah.
Well, we have both, but here's the kicker. Albania has a town named Peda.
Hmm.
They had a baron in the area of Sicily named Peda. Pedix is a variation of it and spelled 57,000 ways, but PET is always right. That's always the way it's spelled, and. And then here was the one that they can. Now I don't know. Look. I know I have Albanian and Macedonian and Greek in, but the thing about the Albanians, when you look at their food, it looks exactly like what we eat. It's
Oh, really? Yeah.
cannoli is Albanian.
Is it?
Yeah. So
I
is
didn't know that.
ricotta cheese.
Yeah, well, that makes sense, I guess. Well, yeah, and then it's made from the cannoli cream's made from ricotta, so I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
And I got a whole string of grandmothers that have their last name is ricotta.
That's funny.
Yeah, I know. And so I'm kind of like thinking we have something that Albanian thing, like we might can say that that's Sicilian because I don't think that that's grandma.
Right.
And I no, it's not. Grandma's not. Not at all. She's all Italian or she's north of that.
But going back to your grandmother Beatrice, um, I think I told you this before when I got married the first time and we moved to Flushing. Um, I kind of remember. But again, we called your grandmother, even though she was a cousin, we called her aunt out of
Of
respect.
course, of course.
And I kind of remember my father driving past there on Booth Memorial and saying, "Aunt Beatrice lives there," and I was like, "Yeah, okay. What am I supposed to do with that information?"
Yeah. Who knew that 40 years later we'd be doing this, 2,000 miles away?
Right, and that's why I say I probably passed you and Jean a million times in Flushing.
There is no, it's impossible that we didn't walk up. We were walking up and down the same street all the time. See,
Yeah,
I lived in that house. That's where that was the ancestral home that I had empty out, where we spent all our time. Jean and I spent all our time there.
right,
Way back
exactly.
there. Yeah.
Well, Gene even told me that he remembers because I took over the house from Louise or the apartment, and Gene says, "I know the place had a big long staircase, and so I know he was up there before I lived there." And yeah, that was just wild when I found that out. Um, just
It's a great story, that and so unusual. that people who had status left Italy.
Yeah.
And that's one of my other things that I want to be sure that I understand. I have family stories that I think I could fit together with history that seem to make sense. It was more of an economic downturn because of what they were doing in the north with money, and the way they drained the south, and people lost things, and some speculations and stuff like this. It seems like it all happened at the same time. And if I could get to Italy, I might be able to talk to some family members that would be able to tell me that. You asked about the most amazing discovery before I forget. Oh my God, besides the fact of our family being just our family, which blows my mind, walking around in Naples is just unbelievable. But besides that, my other thing, my refined grandmother, her father was a bigamist. Oh my God! He was, I got the records. I'm like, oh my God. He's had three kids, we still have family in Naples we could go see. I don't want to tell him that their dad married somebody while he was in the United. He married some rich Jewish woman. They were living in the New York hotel before he died. He
Really? Wow.
married her 11 days before he died. He died.
That's something. That's
Isn't
something.
that crazy? And I swear to God, I've got the documents. I got the official documents from New York. I know the people. I know who was the best man. And the mother and father are right. I mean, I verified everything. I verified everything. And then I looked into this woman's life. She had so much money. She was living on Park Avenue.
Wow.
Ay, 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 ay. And he was a bigamist. My grandmother. Ay. Oh, she did not know that. I can't. She could not. They were just. Oh, oh my God. My Aunt Mary. When I told my Aunt Mary, it was like, oh my God. It was just, yeah. That was one of those wow moments.
So my last question, because when I was last in Italy, it was 20 something years ago. I knew nothing. Now I know when I was at the train station, I was a half a mile from where my grandmother's grandparents lived, and my grandfather's grandparents. The Sorrentinos lived basically in the same area. Um, when you went back, knowing what you knew now and the history of the family, what was that like?
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm still getting chills over my entire body. It'll bring tears to my eyes. I swear, Bob, I have been to Italy a million times. The job that I was in, I had to be overseas all the time. I've been a lot of places. I love travel, and it's my thing. Oh my God. This, knowing what we know, and going and living in Naples in an apartment, not in a hotel. You want to be in the B&B because you're going to be around people, real neighborhoods. Um, and if you get close to where all of our family monuments are, which are everywhere in Naples, everywhere. I mean, the apartment that I picked was right next door to where the pool houses were built.
Wow. They were going to put me in the same apartment.
Really?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's something, well, you'll go there because there's one of the poorhouses. I mean, really, you're walking by stuff and not, I mean, it is, Bob, you will feel like you're home. That's how I felt. When I see these people singing on TV now, I right away, I flash back. I flash back to when I was there and what it felt like and how good it felt to, I can't. The food I ate, the things I saw. I mean, it was my grandma. This was it. This is where she learned everything, and this is where she learned how to cook and all of that. And and the way the people are, and the way they look, and the way they act, and it just I'll never forget it. I cannot wait to go back. Naples, okay, nobody in the world will ever tell you this, but Naples right now is my favorite city. If I went to spend 2 weeks in a B&B in Naples, I'd be happy. I'd be happy. Because you know what? Now I have friends in Naples I didn't have in October. We're on Facebook and Messenger all the time talking to each other while this stuff has been going on. I mean, these are, I care about them and they actually care about me.
Well, yeah, and that's the experience I had, especially with Cinzia, who's been just she's just been fabulous, and she's been working with the planner to go to all of these places and to meet the cousins, and so Cinzia's she's my fourth cousin, so she's probably like your fifth. But she was going to bring her mother, and she was going to bring her father's brother and sister, who would be third cousins. So a lot closer than I thought that I would ever meet. You know, these people are almost of the same generation, and they probably knew, people that I could actually ask them about.
Oh,
And
wouldn't that be cool?
to your point, with when they started sharing pictures, I was just totally blown away by it. And I had my doubts when I first contacted them. And it was almost like you, like I was going back with Cinzia and saying, well, I think this is your, great great grandfather. Is that right? And she is, yes, that is. And he was my great grandfather, it's her third great grandfather. And my second were cousins. So once I started making those connections, it was just incredible. And then you get an affinity for them. Like I knew I was Italian, but I really am Italian.
Yeah, yeah. No, you know, no, I get it. I get it. I 100% get it. It puts it on a whole different level of real. And when I met you, look, I believe this story about my grandmother. And you know, you and I had already done all all the tree stuff. You know, and when we found that little thing about about the two of them being brothers and sisters, we knew we were right. But when I saw that DNA, it was like, it, it really is. There is nobody that can take that away from me. I mean, you know, it really, and Eugene, who, you know, he lives vicariously through me on this stuff. Well, how many people can spend all day doing this stuff? When I tell him that, but he didn't find it, but he gets so excited about it. When he goes back to Italy and I take him to see these places, I swear, I cannot wait for you to go. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's just going to be that much better in October. That's all.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. Now, the other funny thing about Italy is my grandmother was Piramalo, which, they had the nobility kind of stuff, but they weren't up there, but they had enough status. Her mother, who was Caracciolo, and I don't think I say it right, but anyway, that's why I say it. They were really, really up there.
Oh, they're everywhere.
And the funny thing about it is they're when I send them something or I contact them, they're almost like, yeah, okay, but we're not really sure. And even though I sent my great grandmother's birth certificate that has, her father being this one person, and then I have her father's uh, death certificate that shows his father was Prince Luigi, they're still like, yeah, okay. If you know what I mean. They're even a little bit more snooty.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you're the Piramalo branch. You know, I mean, we don't, you know, a thing that we got a lot of stuff we've got to do and think about and write up just about this family. But one thing that I would love to do is see, look, we know the Piramalos were sent by Isabella and Ferdinand to conquer that castle or whatever it was. and he did it, and he got the land, he died, and all that other stuff. So there's something back there in Spain, but I'm just not, just opening up that can of worms before this one is wrapped up.
And I've been trying to find that. I mean, I know that the family started in Spain and the first Piramalo came in the 1500s. So that's making me crazy because I can't find that connection. And then the other connection is Duchess Beatrice. Um, her mother was Mariangela de Riso, and de Riso, they come from nobility too, and I'm at a dead end there. I can't find her family. It's making me nuts. And they're from Calabria too. It's making me crazy. I can't find that.
I'm gonna go. I just gotta look. I'll go, as you're talking, I just was gonna open them up so I can just sort of follow these guys down. My pharaohology goes nuts. Okay. Oh well, yeah. Where? Well, I don't know. I fall apart at Savino. I can't get any. I can't get Savino's family. Have you found anything? Anyway, we don't have to do that now. But I'm dead. I can't. I haven't found anything.
Yeah, so there's still more to uncover.
There's plenty to uncover, and it's always the women that are missing.
Well, the women are hard because they're not documented.
That's right. Then it's not important. Wasn't important. They didn't.
No,
They
and
weren't
that
going to get any land.
yeah, and that's what happened to me when I started. When I was looking for my grandmother, I had found um, my great grandfather Nicola, who married Amelia, and I saw that. I saw they were married, and the way the lines were online, I kept seeing children, and I'm saying, well, where are their children? And it must have took me 2 months before it struck me. It was like, oh, of course she's not there. She's a woman. She's not going to be under the Carriaccio line. She would be under the Piramalo line. And, they weren't on the list because they didn't inherit any titles or anything like that. So I
Yeah,
went
right.
nuts for months trying to figure that out.
Oh, and I'm trying to look now to see if I can figure out what cities they may have owned in to see, to see if there was something I could find. But there's one other thing that was really amazing, Bob, and is when you shared the picture of the, at least my great, three times great grandmother, right? The one that we can't, the Savino. Um, when you showed me that picture, and that was my great grandmother standing next to her, my great great grandmother standing next to her. No question that it looks like Eugene's mother. If I put the two pictures side by side, you'd swear to God they were the same kid. They were even dressed the same. They're just born like 80 years apart. It's uncanny. That's something that really freaks me out is how close people, if you can find pictures, how people look alike. Yeah.
Well, the thing that freaks me out was when I found my eighth great grandfather, Marino, his painting of him, and I looked at it and I said, boy, I have a resemblance to this guy. And then, and Marion would tell me straight out, you're nuts, right? But I found a picture of me around the same age. I made it black and white. I put the two of them next to each other, and I showed her, and she said, "You look like that guy." I said, "Yeah, I do, because it's my eighth great grandfather, ninth."
Is it on our side of the family or your mom's side?
It's on my grandmother's mother.
Okay, okay. Well, if you run across any pictures of our family, let me know because I'd love to see one of Beatrice, and I'd love to know more about her. I think she's a pivotal. Well, she certainly is a pivotal moment as far as our families are concerned. As bringing together the Piramalos with the Facilis, and the Facilis are they're all over Sicily. I mean, all over Naples.
Well, we were supposed to go to the house in Capricotta
Oh
from the
man.
Duke and Duchess. It's the
Oh
city
wow.
hall now.
No. Oh yes, I think I saw a picture of that. I think you shared a picture of what
Yeah,
that was. That's right. Oh
right.
my
They were going to
God.
take me there. But we'll go in October. We'll get there.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? It's going to be better then, and it's a lovely time of the year. So we're going to get through all this garbage. In the meantime, it's like I said to my oh, yeah, there is something sidebar. I'm sure it's not for the podcast, but um, I want to still do something to celebrate our families being here as long as they have been. And I've been thinking about that, and I thought, you know what? Recipes. And it's a way of celebrating the women too, who are always the unsung heroes in these families, right? And they make great sacrifices. And so I thought, what a way to write a nice little story about what the women did and along with their food and maybe pictures of people making it or eating it. And I don't care if they're duplicates, I don't care if I prefer if they're handwritten because I want it to look like an old collection of recipes, like what recipes are. And I think it should include the German and the Irish and the American Indian and whatever, because of who we are today. But we'll define it the right way.
Yeah, I have several recipes from my grandmother and Aunt Emily and
Oh wow.
that Louise wrote out for me. So they're on
Oh,
paper. So I'll get you copies of that.
oh, that
Um,
would be. Oh, and then you could write, and when we pull it together, whatever you want to write about it or say about your family, about what the seller. That's up to you to do that with this. We're gonna fix it and put it together, but and just scan. We just want a scanned copy. Just send me a scanned copy. Is all we need. And whatever we need to know about it, so that we can make sure that it's associated with the right people. That'd be fabulous, Bob. Really. Yes.
and I have a bunch on the blog, so we could even put them there. I'll send you that link too, because I have some from my mom's family and some from
Oh, that would be fantastic.
some of mine. So
Oh, yeah, yours too. Oh, yeah, everything. No, yes, absolutely. Well, when they write me, they say, "What do I have?" So I write them 1,000 recipes. I can't believe you had that many recipes. Do you know how I said grandma told me how to do it? It's a pinch of this and a handful of that, and the handful was always salt. That was my cooking. I mean, my cooking, I have to figure out how to write it down. I know how to make these things, but I don't have a recipe for it. So thanks. And I got some of my cousins. They seem to have figured out the measurements of things. But my grandmother, all she did was when she bought a box of salt, molten salt, she'd take the big knife and saw the top off, the top of the salt thing. My grandmother was notorious. Oh, that's why I made the joke about salt. But anyway, um, so Bob, this all became real because of the things that we did together, and it was a couple of years for it all to come about. Never mind what we've been doing. So I'm so grateful.
no, me too, me too. Um, well, thanks a lot. I appreciate you taking the time, although we all have plenty of time now, I guess.
Yeah, really, if we're going to do this, is the time to do it. That's why I said, if we're going to do a cookbook, let's do it now. It was great to talk to you. My best to your wife.
Thanks for listening. Follow us on Facebook in the Italian Genealogy group or at www.italiangenealogy.blog.